Unlike PSG women's Aminata Diallo, who set up an assault on her teammate to secure her spot in midfield, we are always going to stick to two microphones and, most importantly, recordings from different locations. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of the Anglo-Italian pod. As always, I'm Tommaso and I'm joined by my good friend
Ruairi, here again. How is everyone? Tommy, how are you doing?
Well, everyone cannot answer, Ruairi, because we only have two microphones.
I can hear them on the wind. I can hear them on the wind. Yeah. They're doing well. They're doing well.
Everybody's doing well. Well, I'm doing good as well. I'm doing good. Football is not there this week. Club football is not there. We will have to resort to international football, but brace yourselves because there are some big games coming up. Rory Criscuolo, there is a new little project that you're brewing alongside the Anglo-Italian pod. Do you want to tell our listeners what it is all about?
I am crazy excited about this. Hopefully my computer will survive it. I am doing all the prayers, but I am finally, after a long time of talking about it and thinking about it, I'm finally going to sit down and stream an FM save so you can come along with me on an adventure. Now, I put a poll on Instagram and on Twitter that you may have seen. The votes are in, and the votes decided that it will be on Sunday evening from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock. That's European time. And my mission is to get Hellas Verona their second ever Scudetto. So to repeat the miracle of the 1984-85 season, where they went on a 15-game winning streak, I need to try and match this. And I'm giving myself 2 seasons to do it.
All right. So you're starting from the 2021-2022 season, correct?
I'm starting from this September. Well, this August. I need time to spend what limited money they give me. I have no idea what the transfer budget is. I have very little idea about the squad. It's going to be interesting. It'll be fun. And if you're on board, I will be asking for help. I will be asking for opinions. So you can definitely get involved. But that is kind of the big news, I suppose. And I'm really excited about it. I'm genuinely excited.
So since I don't play Football Manager, but I like fucking around, I would like to know the story behind this appointment. So you don't know anything about the budget and everything. Were you a sort of like panic signing? They didn't know who to appoint as manager. You were on the beach relaxing and you accepted the job. How did it go? Give us the insights.
I kind of see it as like I was the language teacher in the back office and there was a disaster at the club. Nothing major, just like the guy had to be sacked and all of his staff left. The chef was gone. There was nobody left in the canteen. I was sat there eating and they panicked and gave me the job. Kind of like how who was it in football who just panicked and asked, do you want to be captain? Do you want to be captain? Who was it? I can't remember.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
I can't remember what club it was, but I feel like, it was Donald Trump. Donald Trump in his office, he offered jobs to people like, do you want to be do you want it? Okay. Do you want this job? I feel like that's how it kind of happened. It was just a panic appointment. Okay.
And imagine this is the first press conference. What is going to be the headline in the Hellas Verona fans website? What is the quote unquote from Rory Criscuolo? English manager at Verona.
Scudetto in 2 years, I promise.
Oh my God. All right. Coming in bold. Holy shit. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central European time, set an alarm. We are going to be spamming it big time on our social media accounts, on Instagram at Anglo-Italian Pod and on Twitter at Italian Anglopod. Make sure you tune in. And also a quick shout out to our sponsor. Rory, I will let you go.
As always, our main sponsors are at Sports Club Maps. I was looking through their website today, just ordered myself a lovely little notebook. They do notebooks, maps, mouse pads, everything you can think of with maps of your favorite countries, areas, cities, and the sports clubs there within. Very reasonably priced. So definitely go check them out, sportsclubmaps.co.uk. Follow them on Twitter, follow them on Instagram, and tell them that we sent you.
And I believe it's time for our Euroreview. Welcome to the Euroreview blimp. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take a trip around Europe, but not only, because international football is back. But before actually previewing the biggest fixtures that you can look forward to between today and Monday, we are going to talk about new manager appointments, Rory, because I hear there was a bit of a whirlwind going on in England.
Yeah, it has been sacking season. So a quarter of the managers in the Premier League have now been sacked. Well, the quarter of the managers from when the Premier League started have now been sacked. So, of course, Watford sacked their manager. They're always first. Then Steve Bruce left Newcastle. Dean Smith's been sacked to Aston Villa. Daniel Farke was sacked at Norwich. And there's one I've forgotten that's going to come into my mind at some point. But the big news is that today, Aston Villa have found their replacement, and it is Liverpool legend Steven Gerrard.
Pod favorite, at least half of the pod favorite.
Yeah, your first thoughts, first instinct, Steven Gerrard going to Aston Villa, of course, off the back of a very successful stint at Rangers, unbeaten win, their first title win in 9 years. What's your first reaction to this appointment?
I think it's great to see Stevie G back in England after his very successful spell in Scotland. And I don't know, he was a great. I feel like he was meant to come back to the Premier League at some point. Of course, it's going to be strange to see him wearing the kit of wearing the tracksuit of a different club. But I think it could be a good start back in the Premier League. Now I was reading that people just want Lampard to be assigned any team so that can be that rivalry back, Gerrard Lampard. But I'm definitely very happy about Stevie G being back. How do you feel about it?
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because I think he's done a very good job at Rangers, but there's quite a big but. I think he won the league in a very impressive way. Now, I'm going to say I don't watch a lot of SPL, but the impression I got was that Celtic definitely weren't the force that they had been. And as we know, within Scotland, there are only really two teams that can really win the league. Now, it's great for him to get Rangers their first title again. To do it unbeaten is obviously an incredible achievement, right? I just feel like he could have done with a bit more time in that job. I think maybe he's moved a little bit too quick. That this is still his first, like, Rangers was still his first managerial job. He was definitely like cutting his teeth, so to speak. And I think the ceiling for Aston Villa is potentially lower than the ceiling for Rangers. Like, I think for Aston Villa, realistically, even if he does do a very, very good job, the most they could really expect is like 7th or 8th place. Whereas with Rangers, you can win more silverware. You can be managing in Europe. You can expand your experience a little bit more. So I feel like maybe there's a bit more scope for him to learn more while he was at Rangers. But you can't blame him for taking a job in the Premier League. He's backed himself. It's a big club. He's going to have lots of money. There's lots of money there for him to spend. I'm sure they're going to back him. And I think you can't blame him for taking it. Now, will he fit into Villa? It's interesting because we know that Aston Villa play really good football, or they like attempt to play really good football. They like to play attractive football. But this year, where they've struggled is like in transitions. So clubs that like teams have been catching them on the counter attack quite a lot, and they're not really keeping their shape. Now with Rangers, the one thing that Steven Gerrard did do was he made them very solid defensively, and that was very much like, first, we're going to be solid defensively, then we can concentrate from there, right? So I think this is something that could work quite well at Aston Villa, try and get a bit of that solidity back. Because when they first came into the Premier League under Dean Smith, I think they were quite solid and they were disciplined. I think maybe it just kind of faded away a little bit. Tactically, it's interesting because Steven Gerrard has a first-team coach. His surname is Beale. I think it's Mark Beale. And Steven Gerrard has been quite open with the fact that he deals with the tactics, right? He deals with the tactics of the team. Steven Gerrard very much does like the man management, the coaching, stuff like that. So I think it's good that he's aware of his strengths and he knows what he's good and what he needs help with. Like, good coaches accept what they need help with, right? And anybody who's good at their job accepts where they need help and knows what they're good at, right? So I think that's a good sign. But It's an interesting one. He does have a good squad there, though. He has a good squad that you can do lots with, I think. And at Rangers, he did tend to favour the 4-2-3-1, which is what Villa have been playing mainly. So I think the players will be used to that system more or less. The wing backs were very important for him in Scotland. They've got two very good wing backs in Matt Targett and Matty Cash. So yeah, it could be a team that suits him quite well. It'll be interesting to see how he does and how the media react to him. Because I imagine, because it's Steven Gerrard, even if it goes badly, he'll get a bit of an easy ride. You know, like some managers.
But Lampard didn't really get an easy ride, did he? But he was
I
coaching
don't
a way
know.
bigger club.
I don't know. I feel like Lampard definitely he got linked with some jobs that I think were beyond his achievements when he was at Derby. I think the media kind of quite liked talking him up, and I would be intrigued to see if they do the same for Gerrard.
Only time will tell, I guess.
But that being said, he has done very well at Rangers. I don't want to denigrate what he's done in his first job. Delivering them their first title in 9 years, 10 years is a very impressive thing to do. So it'll be an interesting appointment for Villa fans. It's kind of exciting, I suppose. A young, exciting coach. See how much the club back him in January if they need reinforcements. I think the defense could maybe needs a look at. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Stevie G back, and let's see if. Can you imagine he turns up to Anfield or they beat Liverpool 7-2 again? Can you imagine? That would be incredible.
That would be nuts. Aston Villa are currently 16th on 10 points. What would be a realistic goal for them this season with Stevie G in charge? Their first game with him in charge is going to be against the mighty Seagull, Brighton and Hove Albion.
I think realistically, if he got them a top half finish, that would be fantastic, considering how difficult their start to the season has been. But I think for him, it's going to be I know I've seen some Villa fans saying that they're in a relegation battle now. It kind of looks like they're in a relegation battle. So I think if they could get top half finish, that would be incredible.
And on December 11th, mark it on your calendar. Stevie G goes back to Anfield as a manager in charge of Aston Villa. We can expect probably an incredible reception at Anfield.
And it's worth mentioning, I think John Terry is still on the coaching staff there. I'm not sure if John Terry's left. So it could be Stevie G and John Terry, but I'm not sure. I'd have to check that.
Yeah, that would sound unlikely, but maybe. Who knows? And Rory, what were the other new appointments in the Premier League?
Well, the other one that everyone's excited about, Howe the lads, Eddie Howe has taken over at Newcastle in what is a really strange appointment. Now, I like Eddie Howe. His stock was very high for quite a long time. He did a really good job with Bournemouth, building them up from League One up to the Premier League with quite a lot of the same players. He did an incredible job, but over his time there, the team slowly got worse while he was spending quite a lot of money. He spent 250 million in his entire time at Bournemouth, and as he did that, the squad definitely didn't get better. So it's interesting that they've picked him as the guy to rebuild Newcastle, right? So on one hand, you've got a man who has a track record of building a club from not nothing, but from little to a Premier League mainstay for 3 or 4 years, right? He has that, but then you know that his transfer spending has been inconsistent at best. He spent quite a lot of money on players like Jordan Ibe, and you're like, oh, that definitely didn't work out. I think he's now a free transfer. So his transfer history is quite difficult, quite up and down, but tactically, he's very, very versatile. So he loves going from a 4 at the back to a 3 at the back. That game where they famously beat Chelsea 3-0 at Stamford Bridge, he played a 3 at the back and went man-for-man marking. That was against Antonio Conte. So he's very flexible with his tactics, and I think he's going to need to be, because this Newcastle team, he's got from now until January to try and get the best out of these players that he can. So he's going to have to be tactically right. How do we match these teams? And I think that's the best kind of weapon he has. He does also have a track record of improving players a lot. So as I said, when he took over at Bournemouth, he had some players that he then managed to turn into Premier League players, right? So he definitely has a history of improving players, which again is good for them because they can't spend until January. And he has worked with 3 of the players in that squad previously. So he worked with Callum Wilson, with Ryan Fraser, and with Matt Ritchie, all at Bournemouth. And they are 3 players that, like, Callum Wilson is going to be key to anything Newcastle do and is key to everything Newcastle do. Ryan Fraser hasn't been a great signing for them, I think is an understatement, but he could be a very useful player if he finds his kind of mojo again. And Matt Ritchie has been one of Newcastle's most creative players. Okay, that's like the tallest dwarf award, but he's been one of their most creative players. So I think the fact that Eddie Howe already has a relationship with these players could actually work out quite well for them. So I think it's a really interesting appointment. For him, I don't think there's much pressure, really. I think if they got relegated, I don't think they'd fire him. I think they know the situation that they're in, and they've picked a player that's kind of picked a manager who's kind of long term.
All right. And
I think, I don't know, it'll be interesting.
We shall see. But talking about new appointments, Rory, I wanted to ask you a cultural question. How hard is it for a British person to survive without ketchup and mayonnaise?
I tell you what, I have ketchup on everything. It drives the missus mad. Like, I have ketchup on everything.
Absolute scenes there must have been at the Tottenham training ground when Conte stormed in saying, fuck ketchup, fuck mayonnaise. You're not going to eat anything like this anymore. No more fried shit. No more pizza. Even new diet. What do you think was the reaction of the English core of the team?
I'm trying to say something that isn't offensive to Harry Kane. I'm sure they were very, very shocked. I'm surprised it took Antonio Conte this long to realize that a lot of those players are overweight and unfit. Like,
come on, it took him 3 days to change
Yeah, I'm surprised it took that long. Fucking hell, have you seen him attempting to run around the pitch? I honestly, I wish that all or nothing was for Tottenham was now, because I want to see a team deal with the arrival of Antonio Conte. I want to see that in a documentary. I want to see how you go from one culture where the players are just given up and hated the manager to, like, right, I'm going to kill you and your wife and kids if you don't do what I tell you, right?
Yeah. I will always remember that interview that your mate Ian Wright had with Lukaku during the first lockdown. And Lukaku was telling about his first training with Conte. And he called his agent and said, dude, is there any way we can reverse the move? Because this is way too intense. And apparently Conte told him right away. It was just like, do you think that's the body of a footballer? You need to become way leaner than that. You're a big guy. You cannot allow an extra pound of fat on your body. Just go running and don't stop until I tell you to. Who do you think is the Tottenham player that is the least liking Conte so far?
Dele Alli. Hands down, Dele Alli. That guy's got such a fucking attitude problem. And I tell you what, Conte fucking hates him as well. It is going to be so mutual, that feeling.
And what do you think Guardiola thinks of Dele, who has been seen going out with his daughter?
I feel like this is the only thing that happens with Dele Alli now, is you talk about things that he's done away from the pitch, like that video with that girl that we all saw. Like, I think the guy has just been an absolute shit show for years. And I think from talking about All or Nothing, he was like the one player or the person I think came across the worst in that. Dele Alli came across so badly in that. And I think Antonio Conte is going to be having great fun torturing him to the point of tears.
God, on one side, you've got Guardiola yelling at you, telling you, dude, if you do anything wrong to my daughter, I'm going to fucking kill you. And then you turn the other way as you're dipping your French fry in ketchup, and there is Conte just slamming it to the ground. Like, you fat fuck, shut the fuck up and go run. Must be hard to be Dele Alli these days. But it was also time to change managers in Serie A, and it's time to welcome back Mr. Andriy Shevchenko, Serie A legend. A little round of applause at AC Milan. Could have scored fewer goals in the Milan derby, but he didn't. So he will always go down as one of the best, if not the best, goal scorer in a Milan derby ever. He's back coaching Genoa. Genoa, who are not doing that great right now in Serie A. I predicted they would be relegated. And then next thing you know, they appoint Shevchenko, who talks about big projects, so I might have to change my predictions. The pictures of him turning up to the training ground were all smiles, but also he always looks very focused. That's the thing that I like about the Shevchenko. He smiled for the camera. He said, "Hello, I'm happy to be here." But then he had, his papers under his arm and everything, and he looked very focused on the job. It's a new time. It's a new ownership at Genoa. The Americans have come in. We will cover it in one episode, but so many Italian clubs are being purchased by American ownerships. And I feel like the intentions are not any longer to just survive and stay in Serie A. I think that the intention is to actually try and push for something more in the following seasons. Shevchenko has already said that they are going to go in hard in the January transfer window.
Wow.
There were rumors about big names coming for a quick loan spell in the Italian seaside, but we shall see. The thing that is sure is that Genoa haven't won a single game since September the 12th against the Cagliari. It was an away game. They won 3-2, and that was their only win in Serie A this season. Bunch of draws, quite a few losses. They need to turn their form around. What lineup do you think he's going to use, Ruairi? You were taking a look at transfer markets, and you were saying that he's very tactically flexible.
Yeah, well, exactly. I feel like from just a brief look through of his tactics through his matches, he tended to go for like a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, and he kind of stuck with that for a while. But then towards the Euros, within the Euros this summer, he was quite happy to switch to a 3-5-2 and was quite happy to kind of move his team around. And I think, again, for a team that's could be struggling this season and are struggling this season, it's important that you're able to change your tactics to fit other teams, because you can't make them worry about you. You have to worry about them, right? One day, maybe you'll get to a point where they have to change their tactics for you, but you're not there yet. So I feel like it could be that is good for them. And also, like, having seen Ukraine, now I would argue that the Ukraine national team is better than Genoa, but
Yes.
we've seen that they're quite like, I always enjoyed watching them. They're a team that really, really work hard, really like all the usuals, discipline, stay in their shape, know what they're doing. They know the system. He was there for a while, so obviously the players were able to know this system. But I feel like the football he plays is quite pragmatic, but also like very good counter-attacking football. So I think for Genoa, it could be a really good appointment. And as we've said before, when like these big names come into the club, for the players like Mattia Destro now gets to work under one of the other greatest strikers to ever grace Serie A, right? Someone on a level with him. So I think it'll be good for Destro to have someone who's up to his level in the club. Maybe that will push him on.
Definitely. I think so. Up front, Genoa don't look that intimidating. They've got Destro, who's had a very good season so far, already 8 goals in Serie A. They've got Goran Pandev, Macedonian legend. He's still around. And Felipe Caicedo, who was at Lazio last year. You might remember him for his many 93rd minute winners and having walked in the pitch at the 92nd. And it's going to be very interesting to see what they do in the market, if they're going to address also the attack or not. What is sure is that if I was a striker and I was coached by Andriy Shevchenko, I would just ask him so many questions and I would just train twice as hard because I think there is just a lot to learn from a guy that has achieved so much in his career. I think he's going to... I don't remember anymore what I was going to say. Oh, no, I think he's the captain, Domenico Criscito. He's a veteran, and I was thinking of Criscito, Pandev. I think that he's going to really value these veterans in the club to try and motivate the younger generations, to try and give them more confidence on the pitch. We shall see. All I know is that it's very nice to see Shevchenko back in Serie A. And you're going to see, if you're a fan of Serie A from the 1990s, you're going to see quite a bit of AC Milan on the Genoa bench from now on. The second coach is going to be Tassotti, AC Milan legend. Yes, he's back in business. And the trainer for the goalkeepers is going to be Valerio Fiori, a second-string AC Milan goalkeeper for a very long time, who also happens to be the father of my friend Ambra's boyfriend. You see? Everything. Yeah, I know. We need to call him.
We need to call him.
I called him back in the day, and he said, "I'll call you back." And then he never called me. I doubt he will call me now that he's going to be the trainer for the goalkeepers at Genoa. But
we can try. We can
only hope. And we might have to steer the bimp towards the Iberian Peninsula, Ruairi, because another great legend is back to managing the club that gave him everything. We're, of course, talking about Xavi, new manager at Barcelona. You might have heard from the Anglo-Italian pod that he was not going to become the manager of Barcelona.
We've blown every way on this, guys. We have gone whichever way the wind goes.
You listen to episode 21 and you find out that he's the new manager. Wow, exciting times for the Blaugrana. Do you think he can turn their luck around this season?
I think this is a classic, like, it worked with Pep, so let's try it with Xavi, right? I feel like it's just let's go back to type. I think again, I don't watch much SPL. I watch even less Middle East Stars League or whatever it's bloody called. I can't even remember what it's called. But from what I heard and what I saw, he had them playing very good football. He had them playing the football. Too, yeah, he had them playing the football you can imagine. He's obviously an appointment that is for the long term. And this is like, right, you are going to bring through this group of young players, like this incredible batch of young players they've got coming through. So I think it's great. It's a great appointment. It'll just be how quickly he can get them going, because they do still kind of need to qualify for the Champions League this year, right? And things are looking pretty competitive at the top of La Liga with Sociedad and Sevilla still up there, right? So it's definitely not a certainty. So it'll be interesting to see if he can hit the ground running. But it's definitely an appointment that's there to inspire the young players, I think. What did you think of it?
I just looked at the first match he's going to have in charge, and it's the derby against Espanyol. Luckily enough, Espanyol
that's such Espanyol's look. Like the return of the legend, and it's you. Like,
exactly, it does feel like it. Espanyol, if they win this game, they could overtake Barcelona because they are on even points, but Barcelona have one game in hand. Barcelona
narrative. I want Barcelona that. I want that to happen. Can we have that happen, please?
Please. Yeah. If we only could have an influence on what happens on football pitches. But we know that Barcelona is 11 points from the top, and also Real Madrid have one game in hand. So it's looking very complicated. Look, I am not a fan of mid-season appointments because I don't think that the manager has got enough time to sit down, figure out what he wants to do, witness enough training sessions to know who are the fittest players, to kind of think the tactics through and everything. I mean, then all we know is when the manager is appointed. We can't know how long he's been in talks for Barcelona and how much he's already been preparing for this job. We will find out, I guess. The same thing with Conte. I doubt that the day before he was like eating chips on his couch and the next day he was training Tottenham. So we shall see. I think I saw clips of the Saudi Arabian team that he was coaching and they were playing incredible football. But again, it was in the Saudi Arabian league, and maybe you missed that pass at midfield and nothing happens. Maybe when you're playing in La Liga, when you're playing in Europe, it's going to be different. But look, one of Barcelona's most iconic legends, Xavi, that midfield with Iniesta, was one of the most beautiful things we've ever witnessed in football. And it's definitely nice to see him back at Barcelona. Time will tell. I think he has everything to do a good job there. He's got everything it takes, I think. We shall see. He's never managed a big club, but he definitely knows the mentality. It's also reassuring for the fans, I think. If the results weren't to come in, then that would be a different story. But if I was a Barcelona fan, I would be happy. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, Christ, yeah. A club legend returning to take over the hot seat is always going to be like a fan pleaser, isn't it? I think so. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I hope. I like Xavi. I might hate Barcelona, but I like Xavi. So I hope he does well, as long as Barca never meet Arsenal. But then we have to get to the Champions League for that to happen. And so do they. So maybe that'll be a long way in the future yet. Who knows?
But Rory, look, you just mentioned you just dropped the A bomb. I've seen some Italian pages even posting about Arsenal's incredible spell and the streak of results. No,
We're back, baby. We are back.
Was that Austin Powers right there? We are back,
that's
baby.
it. I'm pretty sure. Maybe. I don't know.
You also mentioned the Mojo earlier, so yeah, it did definitely sound
Yeah.
like Austin Powers. But it's time to talk about international football, and as we're speaking, there is quite an interesting match: Iraq taking on Syria. This is as far east as we're going to go with the fixtures that we're going to preview today.
Yes.
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
definitely. Well, since we're at it, South Korea just beat the United Arab Emirates. Lebanon lost to Iran. Would you ever guess? And Australia have drawn to Saudi Arabia. Japan have won against Vietnam. And China and Oman have drawn. Did you catch that one, Rory?
Yeah, it was the classic. It was a great one. Couldn't take my eyes off it.
It's like the Manchester Derby of international football, China, Oman. Let's stay in Europe, and I would like to start, Rory, from my home country of Italy, as tomorrow night we will be taking on a nation that our pod loves to rip on. But this time around, I'm going to be nice because I don't want to jinx it. We're talking, of course, about Switzerland. Now, the situation in the group is super duper tight. As a Swiss would say, it's super duper tight. They're both on 14 points after 6 games played, and tomorrow night they face each other. After the game against each other, they only have one left. Italy are going to take on Northern Ireland in Belfast next Monday, while Switzerland are going to play Bulgaria at home. So let's start from the later game. I think that Switzerland have the easier one. And so this makes it all the more important for Italy to not fuck up tomorrow night. What makes me even more nervous is that I won't be able to watch the game. Maybe I will, because I'm going to Spain to visit my mom this weekend. But what happened in Italy, there are some big absentees in the team, including a certain Zaniolo, who seems to be always injured. My favorite midfielder, Pellegrini, who really has no luck. And the Ciro Immobile. Ciro Immobile is not going to be there because he's got a calf injury. But is that really a loss for the Italian national team? I beg to differ. So the 28 names still look ready to take on Switzerland. Chiellini was unsure. He wasn't sure he could join the national team because of an injury that he's been carrying for quite some time. But he's going to be in the team. Up front, Gianluca Scamacca from Sassuolo has been called up by Mancini, and to replace Pellegrini and Zaniolo, Pessina from Atalanta and Cataldi from Lazio have been called up. There is nothing really to say. We just have to win this game. We haven't been very convincing on the international stage recently. We drew to Switzerland, which wasn't that nice. We lost to Spain. We drew to Bulgaria even before that. This is the time to really try and shine and try to, close this old deal of the World Cup qualification. What do you expect from this game?
Oh, I don't know what to expect, Tommy. We know what happened last time there was any form of pressure on qualification. I think Italy should do it because, as you said, you beat them quite heavily at the beginning of the Euros, right? That's not that long ago. That's like, it's not like those records where it's like, these teams haven't beaten each other, and then it goes back to 1950, and you're like, yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. It was like 6 months ago, not even that. So I think that recent enough history will make a difference.
We're playing in Rome. I don't. It's like I'm not nervous right now, but if I think about the possibility of that loss, it just gets extremely nerve-wracking. Because that game in Belfast, even if we lose the game against Switzerland, then we win in Belfast. It might as well not mean anything. Of course, if we weren't to qualify directly, then we would go to the playoffs. But I would like to avoid that from happening. So this is definitely my standout game in this international break. Tune in tonight, because you're listening on a Friday at 8:45 p.m. Central European Time. The game is going to take place in Rome. Italy take on Switzerland. Rory, what else have we got that stands out from the rest?
Well, this evening, We have Ireland taking on Portugal in a game that I'm going to be watching with one eye open or behind the sofa from behind the sofa. I'm not sure. This is going to be a difficult one. Obviously, Ireland cannot qualify, but we are now playing for pride. We've been on a little bit of a run, beating Azerbaijan and Qatar. So come on, you boys. Hopefully we can pull off a miracle against Portugal. I think they need the points, so they're definitely going to come here for the bag. So I don't know how much fun that's going to be to watch, but the project that is going on at Ireland or within the Ireland camp is interesting. As we've talked about before, the young players coming through, trying to play a different style of football. Stephen Kenny doing a pretty good job overall. So I think it will be... Look, last time we were leading 1-0 up until Ronaldo decided to turn up and scored 2 in the last 3 minutes. So it's just how much Ronaldo fancies it, really. But the weird thing is a lot of United players have been pulling out of their international squads. Marcus Rashford, Luke Shaw both pulled out of England duty, and Scott McTominay pulled out of Scotland duty. It feels like maybe a few of them are putting club before country and trying to get a few more yards in on the training pitch. Who knows? Kind of interesting. But talking about England, the big news, we're going to go for Arsenal, mate. We're going to go for Arsenal. Arsenal have gone from having no players in the England squad for a very long time to having Aaron Ramsdale, Bukayo Saka, and now Emile Death Row Smith Rowe. He is in the England squad. Yes, it's because some players pulled out, but still, he is in the England squad. And I am bloody excited about the fact that we could see Saka, Ramsdale, and Smith Rowe in an England shirt on the pitch at the same bloody time. England have basically, touch wood, qualified. We've got to play Albania and San Marino, I believe. If we win the San Marino game and Poland drop points, they're playing... who are they playing? I wrote it down. They're playing someone at home that's a little bit more difficult. Where is it? They are playing...
I'm trying to look it up
Poland.
as well.
Oh, no, they're playing Andorra. So there we go. Maybe not that difficult. If Poland somehow drop points to Andorra, then England will qualify. But if not, Poland then have to play Hungary, whereas we have to play San Marino. So England should qualify, which I think means that Gareth can kind of play around with the squad a little bit, give a few debuts, test a few things out. And I kind of hope that Smith Rowe is one of those names because he's been... I think I was reading a stat that he is the English player with the most goal involvements in the Premier League this year, second to Conor Gallagher from Crystal Palace, who was really unlucky to miss out on the squad. I think he maybe should have been called up. But yeah, it's good to see Emile Smith Rowe getting the praise that his form deserves. And for England, as I said, they should really qualify. So it should be quite straightforward. I'm saying should a lot. Touch wood.
All right, let's move on. What else have we got in Europe? There are Spain and Sweden fighting for a spot up top as we are talking. It's a Thursday, and tonight Spain are going to take on Greece. But, spoiler alert, Sweden are losing 2-0 to Georgia.
Ooh. No, I thought that was going to be a routine win for the Swedes. I'll be honest.
Unless they can turn it around in these next 9 minutes, and listeners, you will know what has happened. Spain then have a chance to overtake Sweden and to go to 16 points, but then still there would be only 1 point above Sweden, and their game against each other is going to be fire. As an Italian, I know that Sweden can be a pain in the ass on the football pitch, right? Who do you see qualifying directly for the World Cup in this group?
Well, if Sweden are losing 2-0 now, it has a sniff of the Tottenham Hotspur bottle job about it. So maybe Spain would then see the job through. But that is going to be a hell of a match in the last match day. See how that goes. I'm going to back Spain and Sweden get a playoff. Sweden in the playoffs just seems like fate. They're just always in the playoffs, right?
Yeah. Nothing really to look at in Group D, where France should be able to qualify pretty comfortably directly to the World Cup. Moving on to Group E, what have we got? Belgium, who are already qualified, and who are they taking on this week? They're going to play against Estonia and Wales. Can they win both and try to make a statement? Because it feels like Belgium can only make statements more than winning anything important on the international pitch.
Well, this is, yes, that's very fair. They will romp their way through qualification before disappointing bitterly. But this is the big week for Wales where I made my bold prediction and said they're going to stuff it up. They have their game in hand at home against Belarus. That is coming up on Sunday at 20:45 European time. So they have to win this game, because their last game is Belgium at home, and you cannot guarantee any points there. Meanwhile, Czech Republic play Estonia away in their final game. So it's absolutely vital that the Welsh beat Belarus. I'm still going to say that they slip up and get a draw. I'm going to stick with my prediction.
Ooh, all right. All right, then. Let's move on. Group F, we've got Scotland. Rory, what's going on with your distant cousins, I would say?
Scotland could make it quite comfortable for themselves, well, at least to the playoffs, if they beat Moldova at home and Israel drop points. They're playing Austria away, then Scotland will secure their playoff spot with a game left to play. It's all in Scotland's hands. And much like there'll be lots of countries that feel this way, but when it's all in Scotland's hands, you kind of worry about what they're going to do with it. As I said, McTominay has gone home. He's been sent home ill, so kind of maybe a hole in the squad. But I think this is an improving Scotland squad. The manager's got them in very good form. I think Scotland should have enough to secure a playoff spot. I'm hoping they do. It would be really good to see them at a World Cup again so that they can go out in the group stage immediately like they always do. But the last time they were at a World Cup was in 1998, and I think it would be great to see them there. So, yeah, I'm hoping they secure the playoff spot. They really should do.
And Group G is pretty interesting because nothing is really decided up top, where the Netherlands are first on 19 points, Norway trail by 2, they're second at 17, and Turkey, after terrifying, horrible, woeful European Championship, they still managed to get 15 points in the qualification for the World Cup, and everything is open. Turkey are going to play Gibraltar and Montenegro, and for some reason I see 6 points in the bag there, while Norway are going to play Latvia, and then they're going to play the Netherlands. Before playing Turkey, the Netherlands have Montenegro, so just open up your football app, look at the standings, because it's looking quite interesting. So Rory, you can only pick, you have to pick the winner and the one who goes to the playoffs. I'll say them in order: Netherlands, Norway, and Turkey.
I'm going to say Netherlands top the group. They then beat Norway in the final game. Turkey win both their games and sneak into the playoff spot. I'm going to say Norway miss out again, and I'll be very upset for Martin Ødegaard and Haaland.
Man, I kind of want to see Haaland on the international stage.
He has to make a tournament. He's not going to be one of those players that never plays in an international tournament, is he? I really hope that's not the case. Like George Best or something, like just a great player that just never quite made it.
I really like Haaland. I want Norway to make it, as much as I've got some Turkish connections. I'm going to say, the Netherlands top the group. And then I want to say that Norway go to the playoffs. I'm going to say that.
Nice. So they need an upset against Holland. They need to get the 3 points against Holland in the final game. We will be backing you. Martin Ødegaard hat trick incoming. Let's go.
All right. Bold predictions from Rory Criscuolo. Staying in Europe, we then have Group H with Croatia versus Russia being the final match day, and they're only 2 points apart. What can you tell us about this group?
I'm just looking at the standings now, Group H. It all seems pretty close. Is it not all done up? Oh, I closed the bloody tab. I'm going to have to edit this.
No, it's Russia are first on 22 points, followed by Russia actually playing right now against the mighty Cyprus. They have a comfortable win of 6-0 at the 88th minute.
Jesus.
Cyprus, what are you doing? Cyprus. The small island in the Mediterranean. But Croatia are trailing by 5 with 1 game in hand. And tonight they are going to play Malta. We should see how it goes. But these two teams, they play each other on the final match day. So if Croatia win tonight against Malta on the final match day, if they win against Russia, they could qualify directly for the World Cup.
That's going to be that's a close one, eh? That's a close one. I think two relatively, even sides. Russia and Croatia, both capable of an upset, but neither as good as they used to be. I don't know. It's a strange one, mate.
True that. England group, Rory, with Poland as well. What are we looking at?
Well, like I said, I think it should be fairly straightforward. It all comes down to the fact that Poland have Hungary on their final game and we have San Marino. I think it is Poland should secure the playoff spot, and we should get automatic qualification. Hopefully, if we don't, then there'll be serious questions for Gareth Southgate. I think so. Yeah, we should be all right.
How do you feel about Poland? You've got that Polish connection.
I think Poland are. We saw they had the new manager Souza, who kind of took over just before the Euros. He was trying new things. I think we've seen Poland starting to, again, trying different football, new young players being brought in, more there from Brighton, quite a lot of exciting players. They've got Matty Cash from Aston Villa. I believe his mother is Polish, so he has taken his Polish citizenship so he can play for them. So they've got they're trying to build a bit of a new, exciting, different squad. So I think there's plenty of things to be excited about if you are a fan of the Eagles.
Are we done with the groups or no? There is one more, the one with Germany, who have already automatically qualified for the World Cup. But listen up, because North Macedonia, actually Fyrom is the official game, are currently winning 4-0 against Armenia. And this means that they're on 15 points, currently second. But Romania trails them by 2 points, and tonight they take on Iceland. We shall see how this one goes. Macedonia are playing Armenia, as I've already said, and then their last game is going to be against Iceland. I don't mind Macedonia. I think they're a good team, a lot of young players. I think it was incredible when Goran Pandev played his last game in international football this summer. All the respect and all the applauses that we received was beautiful. It's a very small nation with a lot of talent. And Roy, the other day, I was just thinking, I read the post that comes out here once in a while. If Yugoslavia was still a country, man, they would have the sickest team in the world. Because it's just like all these small nations with one superstar, 2, 3, 4 very good players. You combine them all together, they would be a powerhouse.
Well, I believe there were databases on Football Manager 21 where you could have Yugoslavia as a country. I'm sure that will upset plenty of people, but there was a database where you could play with them as a country. I'm almost certain. Yeah.
Imagine the scenes in the locker room. They play great football, but then they just start insulting each other and spitting on each other in the locker room.
Kind of sounds like the Netherlands changing room. To be fair, play great football, then just attack each other the second they get anywhere. Right. Yeah.
And if you're into South American football, we also got some interesting games: Brazil versus Colombia, Argentina versus Brazil, but also Uruguay, Argentina. Look, the South American group is all just a list of very good games because all the teams are pretty decent and they all have to face off each other if they want to go to the World Cup. Anything else around the world for the World Cup qualifications?
Just quickly, we're still sticking with AFCON. The mental last match day to decide all the groups is on Tuesday. So definitely, I think they kick off at 5 o'clock and at 8 o'clock. Basically, any group you look at, the top two teams are playing each other to decide who wins the group and who goes into the playoffs to qualify for the World Cup. It's going to be madness. The main one is the one that definitely will be worth watching is Cameroon taking on Ivory Coast. That's on Tuesday at 8 o'clock European time. I am definitely going to try and find a feed for that game because I think that one is going to be incredible.
Absolutely. And I keep getting excited about the World Cup whenever I see all these games and everything. But then I remember that it's going to be in fucking Qatar and that it's going to be in winter. And all of a sudden I'm like, that's not even that cool. But hey, that still means that 1 year from now, we will be counting the days till the World Cup kickoff. Isn't that weird to think about?
That is pretty crazy. Now you say it out loud, that's pretty crazy. Especially as we're like, I was going through Milan today and there's like Christmas decorations in the windows. Oh, fuck's sake. Oh, and now we'd be thinking about the World Cup? What the hell is this madness?
Got World Cup games on Christmas Day? Are the dates out officially yet?
I think the final is like a couple of days before.
Right. Man,
I wanted them to do it Christmas Day, but, they didn't listen to my multiple letters.
Yeah, no, especially I wouldn't mind a nice World Cup final on Christmas Day. By the way, yes, the World Cup is starting on November 21st next year, and the final is going to be played on the 18th of December. So it's going to be, usually it's 1 month long. It's going to be shorter than a month. Just next season for the clubs is going to be absolute.
God, there's going to be so many injuries. It's going to be insane. There's going to be so many injuries.
We will see. But I believe it's time to jump to the weekly topic. Rory, do you want to introduce the topic? Because it's football related, but also I'll let you go.
We've gone a bit serious, guys. We've gone a bit serious. And me and Tommy were talking when it all came from when Inter did the blasphemy of taking Pirelli off the front of their shirt and replaced them with Socios. And we thought, what the hell is Socios? And now you're about to find out what they are.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our weekly topic. Brace yourselves. Close your eyes if you don't understand that much about economics and finance, because this time around we have a different guest than usual. He was involved in football back in the day. He was a footballer, I believe. But then right now his life has taken a sudden turn, and we want to introduce you as our crypto expert. Of course, Rory is here with me as well.
Hello, I've got my eyes firmly shut because I know nothing about economics or money. So I'm pretty excited about this one to see. Hopefully I'll learn something. I think I will.
And our friend today is Jacopo. Jacopo, how are you doing?
I'm really good, and thanks for having me on. Happy to share my little knowledge that I've accumulated over the years.
We are very happy to have you on to learn something more about something that has become very topical in football recently, which is cryptocurrencies, but especially fan tokens. Now, before starting to record, Rory and I had to chat with Jacopo to make him understand how little we understand about cryptocurrencies. And so we're going to pretend that each one of our listeners doesn't know much about this fad, we could also call it. So, Jacopo, take us to the very beginning of cryptocurrencies. Then we're going to talk about the evolution, the fan tokens, and we're going to get to a final prediction that you have. So how did the cryptocurrencies start?
Okay, in 2008, we had the crash of the housing market with the subprime crisis. And at the time, a lot of banks were close to bankrupt. And I mean, governments came with a bailout, a huge bailout. And that caused over the years, and we're seeing that problems today as well, they caused the rise of the inflation. Okay, so in 2008, a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto created a new monetary system that is completely decentralized, and we have to talk about that. But
in quotation marks,
they say that it's decentralized, peer-to-peer, and you don't have to trust a bank to transfer your wealth. And this is actually a huge shift, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course, it's a huge shift. So basically, the money that we're used to, the money that is on our credit cards, the money that we use in cash, basically,
it's not yours, but yeah,
okay, it's not actually mine, of course, but they tried to create an alternative. Is that correct?
Yeah. They created a real alternative that is unbreakable. I mean,
how is it unbreakable?
Okay, it's all based on the blockchain. The blockchain is it works like torrent. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah.
So you have a lot of computers in all over the world that store a copy of the public ledger, and they confirm transactions over time. So it's difficult to manipulate it, because if you have a lot of validators, you have to control all of them. It's possible to do it. Bitcoin maximalists say that this is perfect and this is unbreakable, but that's not completely true, because if you destroy and localize every copy of the ledger, you can be malicious and you can apply changes at the blockchain.
And so, but people really bought into this thing that it was a more trustworthy way of dealing with money. And it really developed over time. How did this development happen, and which was the peak of this development of cryptocurrencies?
Okay. So the main problem at the time was that they called double spending problem. A lot of software developers thought that, and in fact it was a reality. You could paying through internet, spend your money twice if the networks weren't connected, all connected. So Bitcoin fixed this and gained a lot of popularity through software developers, because Bitcoin actually fixed this problem with proof of work. That is a consensus mechanism for the blockchain that avoid the double spending problem.
And in 2018, you were telling us Bitcoin's cryptocurrencies really reached their peak. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it happened also in 2011 and 2013. And yeah, in 2017 and January 2018, we had another bubble.
So is this a market that like fluctuates? It changes more than like the traditional markets, right? It's a lot less predictable. That's the kind of impression I'm getting.
Yeah, it's way more volatile.
Okay.
Because I mean, the main reason is that there's not a lot of money on it, even today. So it's quite easy to manipulate it and makes the price move. Price movements.
Right. And recently, we have seen, and this is going to be the focal part of this interview. We have seen that recently cryptocurrencies have started to make their way into football. Now, Jacopo, you are our crypto expert. You probably weren't caught off guard like we were when we saw that Inter had the sponsor, socios.com, that all these teams in Serie A and in the Premier League are sponsored by digital bits. So for experts like yourself, was it predictable that one day cryptocurrencies would get into football?
Yeah, and that's why I'm going to explain why now. Because we had Bitcoin in the first years of blockchain development, and Bitcoin only works using a single smart contract. And the only things that you are able to do with Bitcoin is transfer wealth and money from A to B. But over the years, like in 2014, 2015, a new type of blockchain came out that was called Ethereum. That is a lot more complicated than Bitcoin.
And it's more valuable as well?
In my opinion, yes, because Ethereum through smart contracts and various types of smart contracts, can let you develop an application on top of a blockchain. And that was incredible at the time. And a lot of developers started in 2014, 2015 to build on Ethereum Web3 applications. And with the time, football as well came into the blockchain world, and we now have the digital bits, socios.com, that are all building on the Ethereum blockchain. through the CHZ token.
All right. So when the big thing was, of course, the thing that attracted the attention of a lot of people is reading fan token, which gives you the idea that all of a sudden fans can buy tokens and become a sort of shareholder of the club. They will be more invested in the life of the club. They're actually putting money on it, and they will be able to make decisions. So what is a fan token exactly, and what does it allow you to do?
Okay. So a fan token is a token issued by a club, and people are able to buy it, to participate to decisions, to pools made by the club. And but there are some risks that, in my opinion, the clubs are not telling us.
And this is the interesting part. For
example, that when you buy a token, you are exposing yourself to the volatility of the markets. And the volatility doesn't mean that it always go up. So
you were saying that you could lose up to 70% while you're sleeping.
Even more. But, so if you accept that and you are really a supporter, a good supporter, whatever it takes, okay, you can buy your tokens and you can hold them. But I mean, this token, in my opinion, are created to make people interact with the club, but primarily they were created to extract money from the people and help the clubs to cover the pandemic expenses.
The losses of the pandemic,
So in the UK, there's a big drive to be like to raise awareness against gambling, right? Don't gamble around football. Don't gamble too much. This isn't healthy. Is this not like a very similar kind of idea, just dressed up differently? Like you're still encouraging fans to gamble in a way. It's just not Bet365. It's a different company.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I was surprised when I saw that the fan tokens were like exposed in TVs, and when you go to the stadium, you can see the fan token sponsorships everywhere, and they say buy the token, go to this site.com and buy it, put your life savings. I mean, this is not healthy at all.
No,
I mean, you have to learn what you're doing.
And there is no disclaimer at the end, because after a gambling commercial, there is always bet responsibly. But here it doesn't say buy your fan tokens responsibly. Have they been a success? Have a lot of people bought fan tokens?
Yes. I mean, if you see the CoinMarketCap, that is a site that contains all of the crypto assets, you can see where the fan tokens are if you search. And there, I mean, not every token, but the Real Madrid, Manchester United, and PSG, Barcelona are like in top 300 or 400.
Wow.
And we have like 9K cryptocurrencies at the moment.
Wow.
So
it's going very well.
They're gaining popularity. And they are listed on like Binance, that is the biggest exchange at the moment in the world.
And you were saying, of course, that by looking at the names of this club that you just mentioned, Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United, PSG, all of a sudden we can make a very quick connection and realize that these are the very same clubs that we're talking about, the Super League. So what is the correlation between fan tokens and the Super League?
Yeah. So in my opinion, fan tokens and Super League are connected because it all started thanks to the Super League clubs. In 2019, I think. Yeah, in 2019, I think that
2020, last. Oh yeah, 2019. Agnelli started talking about the Super League. Yeah.
talk about Super League and issued the Juventus fan token as well.
All right.
But, yeah.
If there is, as history teaches us, if there is something evil, it's probably brewing in the city of Torino, in northwest Italy.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Even if I'm a Juventus fan, that's facts. I mean,
so they created this fan token, and then what is how can the fan token because you're basically saying that this is like a campaign that is going to lead to the Super League. How is this going to happen?
I mean, I don't know what is the roadmap, but I can only guess, and I think that they will. I mean, the same way people came into the crypto markets with Bitcoin and Ethereum. You generally buy crypto because you think they will go up, and you think that you will be a millionaire one day. So I mean, if people see that the fan tokens are only going up because football is crazy good and it will never fail, it's a possibility that a lot of people will that today are not football enthusiasts. Maybe they can start thinking at interacting more with football and watch Champions League final, Premier League, and
the Super League.
And the Super League, because the Super League will be, in my opinion, the catalyst for football to become the best sport and the most followed sport in all over the world in the next years.
I mean, it is already the most followed sport in the world, and I think that maybe the strategy is. Why more or less? What do you think is more? What do you know is more popular than football?
Because I mean, I look at money. Where's money in sports? If you look at Asia, I don't think that football has reached its prime potential in Asia. But
that's fair. It's all cricket in India and like Pakistan and Bangladesh. It's all cricket, right? It's not football. And the West Indies, it's cricket. And there are still places where football is chasing a little bit, right?
Well, I think maybe overall it's the most popular sport in football.
Overall,
but it's not the richest sport in football. It's not the richest sport in the world, sorry. And so my idea for a person who doesn't know how to read and write, my idea is that they're looking at the sport and they're like, all right, what is the potential of the sport? How can we make more money with the sport? And that's when the idea of bringing in cryptocurrencies in football comes in. Is that a correct analysis?
Yeah. In my opinion, yes. If you think, let's imagine what a potential football match will look like in 5 to 10 years.
All right.
So we will see maybe a top Super League match, like Manchester City against Bayern Munich, with the fan tokens that will let people decide some things that could happen during the match. And I think that in a scenario like that, the whole world will look with an interest at what happens. Not only football fans.
Well, this is something like with the Super League, we saw them like they referenced fans that were from the city as like legacy fans, right? And then they wanted to reach out to new fans, right? The legacy fans don't spend money, the legacy fans don't buy kits. It's the tourists who buy kits who spend money, right? So what I think I'm getting is that the fan tokens would possibly give more power to fans on the other side of the planet than the fans who attend the game in the stadium, right?
Yeah.
And this is that's where the aim is, for them to widen their range so that a fan in Australia suddenly has more say over what happens at the Etihad in Manchester than a guy who's been going for 40 years, right? Yeah.
And in my opinion, that is an intelligent move also, because if you look at the kids today, all the kids, sub 12 years, they all play video games all day, and they're not as interested in sports as like us.
Yeah.
So I think that cryptocurrencies and blockchain gaming and NFTs that will be part of football, in my opinion, will help these kids to see sports in a different way, and start loving sports from a different perspective.
But so it won't create more athletes; it will just create more fans.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
While when we were kids, we all wanted to become professional footballers at some point in our childhood.
Yeah.
Right now, it's going to be, I want to become a great investor in football. I want to become a great owner in football. I want to put a shit ton of money in football and become rich with that. Wow.
Yeah, we went from with internet. We saw how to transfer information all over the world, and now we are passing through a new shift, and we will see how you can transfer property through the internet and through the blockchain,
right?
And that will be huge, thanks to football as well.
I have a question for two separate people. So, Jacopo, you are a football fan. You grew up playing football. You watch Juventus, unfortunately. You support Juventus. That's the sad part. We play fantasy football together. So I have a question for Jacopo, the football fan, the fan of the sport. And then I have a question for the Jacopo. It's the same question for the Jacopo who is into the crypto market.
Okay.
So I want two separate answers, one from the football fan and one from the crypto expert. Are fan tokens a good idea for the future of the sport? First, I would like the football fan to answer the question.
Okay. Yeah, because I will be able to say to Mr. Allegri that some players don't have to play.
For example,
give me one name. Give me one name.
Mr. Rugani.
So, for a football fan, it's a good idea, and for a crypto expert, what do you think?
I think that I won't put any money in fan tokens, or I mean, from an investor point of view, I will wait for a big dump.
Okay.
Then I'll start maybe buying some and hold them to use them, maybe for the pools, to decide and to. I mean, I'm curious to see what they will decide to do with to help people interact with the club.
Well,
I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, this is something I think that's worth talking about, because at the moment we've said you can decide what song the team comes out to or which player is going to do a question and answer on Twitter. Like, these things are not important. But maybe I'm being naive, but I can't imagine it ever getting to a point where meaningful decisions are actually being decided by how many tokens you are. Am I being naive, or do you think there would be a club out there?
You're right. But it doesn't mean that they will say that you will be able to decide.
Right.
They can make the people think that they will be able to decide. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they will.
Okay, fair. No, that's fair.
This is so then at the light of this, I really like the answer that you gave from the football fan, because you gave a very naive answer. Yes, because I will be able to tell Allegri not to play Rugani.
Every football fan wants to do that.
Oh, yeah.
It's a dream. Of course. It's a dream.
Out of all places, we had a TV show called Campioni in the early 2000s. It was a Serie C, I think a Serie C team.
Serie D or D, maybe D.
Maybe D, yeah. Serie D club, coached by world champion Ciccio Graziani. And all the footballers, they were pretty good-looking dudes or funny dudes. It was like a reality show. And I remember my classmates at school, the girls, they were going crazy. I didn't live far away from Cervia, and they would carpool to Cervia to watch the games at the weekend. And the thing that you could do was send a message with the players that you wanted to start in the official lineup. And this created a lot of fun for a lot of entertainment value, because the manager, of course, didn't want the more good-looking player to play. And so throughout the entire game, he would insult him. Like, you motherfucker, if you didn't have those good looks, you would be rotting in the bench. And then you see the same guy, like, miss an absolute sitter in front of an open goal. But so this is probably not going to be the future, but that's what they want to make you believe.
Yeah.
But one of the final questions that I have for you, Jacopo, should we get ready for the future of football to be controlled by cryptocurrencies?
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is inevitable in the long term.
Okay. And so you think that the Super League is eventually going to happen? Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, yes. And finally, for our more expert listeners who are probably a little more knowledgeable than us about cryptocurrencies, you have a little tip about something that might happen in February, March. Do you want to share it? Do you want to take this responsibility?
Yeah. I mean, none of this is financial advice, of course.
Yeah, please make that clear.
This is very clear. It's not financial advice; it's a prediction. All right. So
also, if you're taking financial advice from this podcast, you definitely need help. Like, there are other places to go, right? There are other places to go.
Yeah, but I think that the crypto market, especially, is overextended, and it will get even more extended in the next 2 to 3 months. So there's a huge probability that we will see a massive crash.
All right.
In the first 3 months of 2022. Yeah.
Of 2022. I know that some American listeners of the pod are into cryptocurrencies. Carl, I've seen a few posts here and there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe it's like that. And finally, I wanted to ask you, Jacopo, how does it feel to support Juventus this year?
It's feeling really bad because I mean, in 2018, we had a really good midfield.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now
but we didn't have Ronaldo. Then we sacrificed the midfield to play with Ronaldo. And now Ronaldo is gone and we don't have the midfield anymore. So
that's actually a very good analysis. What do you expect Juventus? How do you expect them at the end of the season? Third, second?
Yeah, I mean,
winners?
No, I don't think that Juventus will win this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Juventus have a good chance to go in the top 4 and play next Champions League. But at the moment, I think that the team is not mentally prepared to win something.
All right.
And yeah, but technically speaking, yes. I mean, because Serie A this year is not a great league, because Serie A lost a lot of good players like Donnarumma, Lukaku, of course, Ronaldo. But even if Serie A is worse than last year, I think that Juventus is not ready to win.
Probably Juventus is worse than last year as well. Yeah. So, Jacopo, to wrap up the interview, you have an Instagram account with a few more followers than we do on Instagram. So do you want to give the account to anybody who is interested in cryptocurrencies and NFTs? But that will be for another episode.
Yeah. My name is Jacopo Malensek, and you can find me digiting it on Instagram.
Okay, but just type Jacopo Malensek with a K at the end, correct?
Yeah, it's a private account because I'm sharing a lot of my crypto thoughts every day. So
intriguing. It's intriguing.
Yeah, it's Not everyone is interested. A lot of people talk shit to me, but yeah, that's what I like to do. I mean, and I will do it. So I don't.
And I
Beautiful.
think you've got
Why
like
not? Why not?
you've got like 12,000 followers, right? Something like that. And
Yeah.
and it's a private account. So
Yeah.
just go in. Basically, the private account is there to know. Just come in at your own risk. This is not
Yeah.
financial advice.
Yes,
You come in
yeah,
and then you take what you like. Don't come knocking at my door. For this reason, we're not going to give you Jacopo's home address. But, Jacopo, thank you very much for joining us today. It was definitely very enlightening. Rory,
Yeah,
do
it
you
was
think
a
you're going to
pleasure as
invest in fan tokens all of a sudden?
I am. I've just emptied my current account, and I'm gonna change Arsenal's entrance music. That's what I'm gonna do.
Thank you very much, Jacopo.
Thank you, guys. See you
Talk
soon.
to you later. Bye. Okay, Rory has officially bought all of Arsenal's fan tokens. He's penniless. Rory, how are you feeling about your decision?
I'm feeling good. I'm just not going to tell the girlfriend until I absolutely have to, and I'm sure everything will be fine.
But the big question is, which song have you picked for the entrance of the squad during next match?
I think I'm going to go for "Ain't Nothing But a G Thang" from the Chronic. Yeah, why not? I feel like that's a pretty cool way to roll out.
Yeah,
so
I'm
so
sure
why
that
not?
there are a few players at Arsenal that I can imagine just like bumping their head to that song. Very nice choice. Not very British, but okay, all right. Still in the English.
Sorry, I mean
world.
"God Save the Queen." "God Save the Queen." That's what I meant. I meant "God Save the Queen."
That brought good luck the last time you guys sang it, right? Didn't it? But time,
It's
guys,
a terrible anthem. I hate it. Anyway,
guys, it's time for our infamous 1 minute to kick off quiz. Mr. Rory Criscuolo is currently leading 19-13, but I have a game in hand. So this will be my opportunity to try and win, because if I get all 7 correct, I will be the winner. But if I don't, there will be another round, and whoever gets a higher score will be the winner. So today's topic, Rory, do you want to remind the listeners what topic have I picked?
I know this is an audio medium, but I'm currently repping the shirt, and Tommy has picked La Seleção.
La Seleção. That's indeed the topic that I have picked. History of Brazil's national team, one of the most successful national teams in world football. And as you know, we don't do any research before the quiz, so I'm ready to make a fool of myself. Rory, what should I expect from your questions?
Expect the unexpected, Tommy, as always. No, I don't think they're too hard. I think I've picked relatively sensible questions.
All right, I'm ready to go.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. How many times have Brazil won the Copa America?
5.
No. Which player has the most caps in Brazil's history?
Neymar.
No. Which team have Brazil played 4 times and never beat?
What? I don't know. Uruguay.
No. How many World Cup finals have Brazil lost?
0?
No, Tommy, you're
God damn
panicking.
it.
Name 3 players that have won the number 7 for Brazil.
Number 7 in Brazil's history. God, Robinho, one.
Yep.
And Socrates.
Just checking. No, unfortunately. Next one. Who scored the 1 goal in Brazil's heaviest ever defeat?
Pelé. I have no idea. Oh, no, wait. Oscar. I know that.
Yeah, calm down, Tommy. Right. And name the youngest and oldest players to play for Brazil.
Youngest and oldest player to play for Brazil. Youngest, Neymar. And the oldest, I'm going to go for Rogério Ceni. But I don't think
oh, Tommy, this game, listeners, the game is going to roll over another week.
No, wait a second. So I didn't get any right because Oscar, I said it after I had already answered. So Rory, I think that with one answer next week, you will, with two correct answers next
Do I
week,
just finesse it and just go right? Okay, I'm gonna have to
you
think
will be
about
the
this one,
winner.
right?
Fuck,
Right.
I did it terribly. Guys, it's unbelievable how much when you sit in this chair, like everything just disappears from your mind. But Rory, take me through the answers, please.
Okay, let's go for the answers. So, how many
This
times have
was
Brazil?
terrible. The worst quiz ever. Fuck.
How many times have Brazil won the Copa America? They've
I
won
said
it 9 times.
Damn.
Times. It's insane, right? Good. Which player has the most caps in Brazil's history? You're genuinely going to kick yourself with this one, Tommy.
It was Pelé.
Cafu with 142.
Of course, Cafu. Of course.
Played at 4 World Cups. Okay, this one it blew my mind, right? Which team has played Brazil 4 times and they've never beaten them? Famously, Brazil lost to them in the first game of the 98 World Cup. Does that help?
Oh, in the 98 World Cup, they lost their first game against them. No, doesn't ring a bell.
Norway. They've played Norway 4 times and never beaten them.
Believe it or not, for a second, I was like, this is going to be a random ass country. And I was like, I'm just going to go for Norway. And then I was like, fuck it. I don't know. Fuck. I said
If you would have got
Uruguay.
that one, that would have been, if that was the one answer you would have got, that would have been incredible.
By the way, my answer, Uruguay, was so stupid. Like, they must have played so many times in the qualifiers for the World Cup. Like, yeah, that was so stupid. All right, whatever. Next.
Never mind. Next
Next.
one. How?
Do you remember that MTV show? Next.
Yeah. Oh God, I saw that on Instagram the other day. Anyway, how many World Cup finals have Brazil lost? Tommy, take a second and think about this.
How many have they lost? I'm trying to think of one. Oh, well, the one against France in 1998. That's one. And then they won against Italy in 1994. 2002, they were in the final and they won it. Then they haven't been in the final since. So it's got to be before. I don't know. Another one, 2 total finals.
It was in 1950 against Uruguay when they lost at the Maracanã, and it is the game they still mourn. Like when they lost 7-1, that one coming up, when they lost 7-1, that was the game that they all kind of related it to as like the biggest disaster in their country's history.
So 2.
Good.
Wow.
2, exactly. Next, who scored the 1 goal? Oh, no, wait. Name the 3 players that have worn the number 7 for Brazil. Now, you correctly guessed Robinho.
Oh, and then fucking Oscar was wearing number 7 as well, right? No?
The players I'm going to go through, because it's quite a long list. Players that jump out to me at the moment, Tardelli, Hulk, Lucas Moura, Kaká, Robinho, Ramirez, Julio Baptista. Who could forget that guy? Giovanni Elber, Ronaldinho, Adriano, so many.
Ronaldinho wore number 7 for Brazil? Wow.
Apparently, his name's here.
Did not remember that. All right, let's move on. The only goal scored in Brazil's heaviest defeat, that was Oscar. In Germany 7, Brazil 1. If I only had taken one more second, I would have 14 points, but
Just
I didn't.
One more second. Then finally, the last question was name the youngest and oldest players to play for Brazil. The youngest is Pelé at 16 years old, and the oldest is Romario at 40 years old.
Wow. All right. Was that the final question?
That was the last question. That's all of them.
Damn it. Next week, Rory Criscuolo, you just need 2 answers to officially be the winner. Which is going to be your topic?
I'm going to go really Tottenham Hotspur.
Tottenham Hotspur. Just make sure, just be ready, because I'm gonna dig up some very unknown facts about your bitter rivals. All right, Rory. Anything to tell our listeners before I send them off with our customary quote?
We may have mentioned it earlier in the show, but on Sunday, if you're at a lost end and you've got nothing to do and you're sat in front of your computer, why not log on and watch me try and win the Scudetto with Hellas Verona? I'm going to be starting our campaign on FM22. The episode will mainly be transfer window, setting my tactics, maybe a few games. I'm going to be on from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock. That's European time. I promise it'll be more fun than it sounds. So hopefully come along and you can see me start this campaign to try and bring glory to the fair city.
to the city of Romeo and Juliet. Never forget, right?
Exactly.
That's where it was all set. Thank you very much, Rory. Remember, listeners, to follow us on Twitter at Italian Anglopod, on Instagram at Anglo-Italian Pod, and to give a cheeky follow to our sponsor at Sports Club Maps. And now, for our customary end of the episode quote, we had to praise one of the greatest forwards, now manager, to wish him good luck with his new managerial spell at Genoa. We're talking, of course, about Andriy Shevchenko, and this is a quote by legendary, I didn't remember this guy at all, Mark Hateley. And the quote goes, "If you give Shevchenko half a chance, he'll score 2 goals. That's how good he is." Well, hopefully you're as good as a manager for Genoa and you'll help them to stay up. Talk to you on Monday night, guys.